Okay, so let's talk about something you've probably never actually touched, but something that could 100% save your life: the side airbag in your car seat. You ever wonder why in some cars it feels like there's a hard plastic brick in the side of the seat, but in others it's just soft? Is one of them safer? Is the soft one just a cheap shortcut? Well, we're going to get into it. First, I want you to get this number in your head: 20 milliseconds. That is it. That is the entire window of time from the instant another car slams into your door to the moment that crushing force reaches your body. It is just terrifyingly fast. To put that into perspective, a single blink of your eye takes about 150 milliseconds. That means a side impact crash is over and done with 7 times faster than you can even blink. There's literally zero time to react. Your car's safety systems have to do everything in that microscopic slice of time. So here's our game plan for this explainer. Think of it as your scam prevention guide. First, we're going to face the brutal physics of that 20 millisecond window. Then we'll unpack the real difference between these airbag types. After that, we bust the myths a car salesman might throw at you. And finally, we'll finish with a simple checklist to make sure your airbags can actually do their job. All right, first up, let's really understand why this isn't just some feature on a spec sheet, but a genuine matter of life and death. See, the physics of a side crash are just unforgiving. Unlike a front-end collision, right, where you have a whole engine bay to absorb the impact, here you've got almost nothing. We're talking about 15 to 25 centimeters. That's less than the length of a ruler between the door and your ribs. That space, that's your entire crumple zone. And that lack of space has some pretty deadly consequences. According to the Insurance Institute for Highway Safety, side impacts account for a full quarter of all fatal car accidents. Your chest and your pelvis are the most vulnerable spots, and that's exactly what these airbags are designed to protect. And the data proves they work, big time. The NHTSA found that cars with these airbags see a 37% drop in serious chest injuries and a whopping 52% reduction in pelvic fractures. So the main point is these little devices are incredible lifesavers. Okay, so now let's pull back the curtain on the two main ways these airbags are packaged. You know, this isn't official stuff you'll find in a brochure. It's more like the insider slang that engineers use. First up, you've got the hard case module. It's pretty much what it sounds like. The airbag is folded up perfectly and then packed into a solid plastic or even a metal container inside the seat. It's a tough, self-contained unit. And this right here is the perfect way to think about it. The hard case is like a holster. It holds that airbag tight, and when it fires, it can only deploy along one very specific predetermined path. It's all about repeatable, guided precision. And then, on the other hand, you have the soft case airbag. Here, there's no rigid shell at all. The airbag is just wrapped in a special flexible fabric and has to rely on incredibly precise folding techniques and the shape of the foam around it to guide its deployment. The analogy for this one is just as good. Think of a down jacket you've shoved into one of those vacuum-sealed bags. As soon as you open it, it just explodes outward, right? But its final shape is influenced by how it was packed and the space it's expanding into. It's all about flexibility and using space efficiently. Okay, now this is where it gets really interesting, because this is where we see the trade-offs. The hard case, that gives you bulletproof consistency. It deploys the exact same way every single time. That's a classic move for big luxury cars, where cost and weight don't matter as much as guaranteed performance. But the soft case, it's lighter, it's cheaper, and it gives car designers way more freedom to make those sleek, modern seats. That's why it's the darling of EVs, where every single gram counts, and mainstream cars, where cost is king. So one isn't just better, it's a really complex balancing act for the engineers. So how does all this tech stuff actually apply to you in the real world? Well, this brings us to the really practical part of our guide, busting the dangerous myths you might hear and helping you avoid a mistake that could be fatal. So imagine this. You're at the dealership, you feel the side of the seat, and you think, this one's hard. That must be the premium, safer option. That other soft one, they're probably just trying to save a few bucks. It's a really easy assumption to make. But it's just wrong. The truth is both hard and soft case airbags have to pass the exact same, incredibly strict government safety tests. Safety is the baseline. The choice isn't about better versus worse. It's about what the engineers prioritized: the rock-solid consistency for a flagship sedan or the design freedom and weight savings for a new EV. Now, for the big one, this is probably the single most dangerous and common mistake a car owner can make. You want to protect your nice seats, right? So you go online and buy a set of those thick, all-encompassing seat covers. It seems like a smart move to protect your investment. But here's what you're actually doing. You're covering up that special tearaway seam, the one with the little airbag tag on it, that's designed to let the airbag out. The bag is meant to literally burst through that line of stitching. When you put a heavy cover over it, you've essentially sealed it shut. So in a crash, the airbag will inflate, but it'll be trapped, totally useless. You've just turned a life-saving device into dead weight. All right, let's lock all this in with a final, actionable checklist. These are the 4 things you really need to remember to stay safe. So here are the key takeaways. First, remember, hard versus soft is an engineer's choice about cost and design, not a safety grade. Second, and I cannot stress this enough, never ever use a seat cover that blocks that airbag tag. Third, how you sit matters. Try to keep a little space, say 5 centimeters, between your body and the door. And finally, if that airbag warning light ever comes on, don't ignore it. Get it checked out immediately. Ultimately, it really just boils down to this. The engineers fight this incredible war against physics to make these systems work in fractions of a second. Your job as the driver is way simpler, but it's just as critical. Don't do anything to get in their way. And that leaves us with a final question for you to chew on. Knowing what you know now, what would you value more in your next car? Would you want that cost is no object, guaranteed consistency of a hard case you might find in a big luxury car? Or would you prefer the sleek, lightweight design freedom that comes with a soft case in a modern EV, trusting that the manufacturer has perfected a more complex process? There's no single right answer, but it's definitely something to think about.